quick one, this video. This is looking at the relationships with prominent Persians and non-Persians. Prominent non-Persians, I should add. So the nature of his relationship, which is pretty consistent following on from his dad, he's an absolute monarch of the empire. So there is a power structure. Absolutely, they are not equal to him. He surrounds himself with nobility. This is not really uncommon for the time, or for Persian royalty for that matter either. So you've got noble families. Many of them are his family, that they kind of have roles as advisors. Many are appointed as satraps and commanders in campaign on Greece. So even in the element of advisors, that would indicate some degree of people with a connection to him to voice their opinions, somewhat, I should say. He uses his relatives and nobles very, very well. He gives them positions of power. He calls them in when he needs to for the fight on Greece. So these people have very, very good standing, and therefore they're quite loyal to him. In talking about loyalty, he rewards those who are, the most loyal, and they're even more rewarded for that. So he has kind of a special kind of, in circle, you could call it, the king's friends and benefactors. This doesn't necessarily have to include Persians, and people like Demaratus, the exiled Spartan king, and Themistocles end up getting in on this tight circle. And for their assistance and loyalty and great duty, they can get gifts like marriage, lands, and clothing. I'm not necessarily going to read all of these, but it's there for you to have a look at, which gives you a little bit of both sides of the story, with whom he is close to and shares trust with whom he has falling outs with. And again, this is the last slide. As I said, it's not really a long one. The idea, and we actually have a little, supposedly, from Herodotus and stuff like that, we have a bit of an insight into his leadership when he calls his advisors and he talks to them about what he's going to do, and he allows them the chance to talk and voice their opinions. This is one on the invasion of Greece, and two, pre-battle with Salamis after Thermopylae, about pursuing him by sea. But the difference is, he's not always happy with opposition. In the invasion of Greece, it's his uncle Artabanus who he gets frustrated at, where Mardonius is kind of massaging his ego to take him, and it's Artemisia, the female Ionian Greek captain of one of his ships, who kind of tried to persist that maybe Xerxes shouldn't try and take Athens by sea. Okay, and look, as I've got some details kind of back on this thing here, but look, according to Herodotus, Xerxes covets his brother's wife. So he tries to get his son and their daughter married to spend more time with his brother's wife, but soon turned his attention to his niece instead. Xerxes' wife makes him mutilate his niece, and this causes a falling out with his brother Macystes, which ultimately leads to problems. So look, we've got both sides of the coin there for Xerxes and his relationships and his treatment of prominent Persians and non-Persians.